understand a little bit of what's taking place. Okay. So let's go to our daily class where I save the pictures. Okay. All right. So basically, if you look on this map, look in the middle by the Arnon River. The Arnon River was the southern border of the Ammonites. And the Jews conquered that whole, not Ammonites, the Amorites, Amoraim, the Amorites. And they conquered the whole area from the Arnon River north to the Yabok River, not including Ammon, that small circle of Ammon, which they weren't allowed to attack. And also even more north of that, I'll show you in another picture, they attacked the great kings of Bashan, right? Og Melech HaBashan, the great giant, which we learned about last week. You see in this map here that all the way to the north is the kingdom of Og, and they won those wars. And they conquered, you see here all the area that they conquered, Sichon and Og. And what's going to happen is, I want to go back to an earlier map, is that the people of the Moabites, right here you have Moab.
Was that place where they built a monastery where
the Moabites Jews will go around them. The Jews will not attack Edom because Hashem said not to, and the Jews will not attack Moab, and they'll skip them and they'll go all the way to the Amoraim, the Amorites, on top of the Arnon River and attack them there. Even though the Jews are going around Moab and not attacking them, still the Moabites are very scared of the Jewish people living to their north, and they're going to want to destroy the Jews. They're very scared because the Jewish people all live there and cover the area where their neighbors to the north used to live. So what are they going to do? They know that they can't win them with words. They can't win them with an army because everyone else that attacked them lost and died. So what are they going to do? So here our map's going to show you. If you remember, we have another country all the way to the south, which is the Midianites. Now, who could tell me in our class when we spoke about the Midianites before? Who knows? Who came from the Midianites?
Moses' father-in-law.
Very good. Excellent. Moses married a girl from Midian. If you remember, Moses ran away. Thank you, Irina. Moses was in Egypt, and he ran away when they wanted to kill him. And where did he go to? He went to Midian, and he married his wife, Tzipporah, in Midian. And he lived there for a long time until Hashem appeared to him in the burning bush. And Moses went from Midian to Egypt in order to save the Jewish people. So the Moabites, who are living right next to the Jews, who just killed countries that were impossible to beat, the strongest countries, go to Midian, where Moses lived for a long time, where he married his wife, and he asks them advice. They send messengers all the way to the south, to Midian. That's along the river, the Sea of Reeds, the Red Sea. And they say to them, do me a favor. Do you have any way to beat this guy, Moses, who's literally just knocking everybody down and trampling every country that he attacks? Do you have advice to tell us how to win? And they tell him the secret. And the answer is, the reason the Jews are always winning is not because they're such sophisticated, such amazing armies. The Jews are winning because of their mouth, because of their prayer. The Jews have a very powerful tongue and a very powerful mouth and a very powerful ability to pray to Hashem. And if you're going to want to win them, what you're going to have to do is not win them by a war method, but win them with their mouth. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to go to Bilam, and they're going to fight the Jews, trying to use their mouth. And that's very interesting because we always know that there are Jewish prophets. And today's parsha is going to tell us that there was a prophet that some even say on the level of Moses, an anti-Semite who God gave the ability for prophecy. And why would God do something like that? We're going to see in today's Chumash. So let us discover the next part of the Torah with what unfolds and what takes place. So join me in the next part of the Chumash. Vayar Balak ben Tzipor. So there was a man called Balak who was the son of Tzipor. And he saw Eskol Asher Asa Yisrael Amori, verse 2. He saw all that the Jews did to the northern kingdom, and on top of him were the Amorites. He saw everything he did to the Amorites. And he said, those were the two most powerful countries in the region. The king Og, the king of Bashan, and the Amorites, who had Sichon, who was the king Sichon that was there, who ran the Amorite army, who oversaw the city of Sichon that was there. Remember Cheshbon, they were the mightiest warriors, and they destroyed everybody that started up with them. They took over the most mighty cities. We said the city of Cheshbon, and the giant Og, who was a giant back from who knows when, earlier period in history, and they won everybody else. And here come the Jews, and they all travel there, and they destroy these people like it's nothing, and not one person dies in the Jewish army. So he said that if they could beat them, what are they going to do to us? Now we know that the Jews didn't do anything to Moab because they just passed around them. Hashem said they can't attack Moab. Verse 3, however, Vayagar Moab mipnei ha'am, the Moabites that they passed around, that they didn't attack them, were petrified. They were extremely frightened because of the Jewish people. Ma'od, very, very frightened. Kiravhu, because they were so many. By Yakots, and we had this also, this word by the Egyptians. They were disgusted. They couldn't live. They were disgusted of their lives. They were so grossed out, it devoured them. They could not handle it. B'nai Yisrael, because of the Jewish people. So they were totally and utterly in complete anger. And a person gets that angry, they're completely not themselves. And they were completely disgusted because of the Jewish people. Verse 4, so then they need advice. And as I showed you in the map, what are they going to do? The Jewish people are just moving, and nobody could stop them, and just moving on. So Moab tells the elders of Midian, sends a message south. Remember, all the way south. I showed you to Midian, and I said, why are they asking advice from a country south of them that's distant south of them? That's along the Reeds River. And the reason is because they know Moses grew up in Midian, and he's the leader of these people, and nobody could stop them. Let's go back to where he lived. And he didn't grow up there, but he lived there for a long time. Let's go and ask them advice so we could know how to deal with these people who nobody has any idea how to deal with them. Now, Rashi also tells us that Midian and Moab, the two countries, okay? So Moab is getting advice from Midian, where Moses grew up. They didn't like each other. They hated each other. They actually had wars between them. But what happens when two countries are very scared of another third country? And the two countries, they make peace. So they were so scared of the Jewish people that those two countries ended up making peace between them, trying to figure out a deal with the solution to the Jews. What are they going to do with Moshe and the Jewish people? And they went to ask Midian, and they said, and Midian going to tell them that that the success of the Jews has nothing to do with their war capabilities. It has to do with their capabilities of prayer, that these people know how to pray, they know what to say, and Hashem answers them, and then therefore you're going to need to think of a more spiritual way of attacking them, a prophet to attack them, and that's going to be their next method of line in order to attack the Jews. And here's the message, and the Torah records the message that Moab sends to Midian. So verse 4, Vayomar Moab el Ziknei Midian, Moab tells the elders of the country of Midian, Yilachachu hakol es kol svivesenu, that this assembly, this group of Jews, will destroy us, will eat us out, demolish us, our whole surroundings, like completely just clean it out. How? And they give an interesting example. Kilchaya chashar, the same way an ox devours stuff when it eats food, it chews it. As Yara Kasada, when an ox makes its way into a vegetable field, it completely annihilates and destroys a vegetable field. That's what the Jews are doing. They came to the Amorites and they completely wiped it out. I looked on the commentary. Rashi says here that when an ox eats foods, it doesn't continue to grow. It doesn't regrow. I looked in one of the notes on the Rashi. He said because an ox somehow doesn't have good upper teeth, and when it eats something, it pulls it out from the ground and it completely demolishes it. So the Moabites are telling the Midianites that the Jews are like the way an ox eats. It completely destroys it and there's nothing left. And that's what they did to the countries. Not one Jew died, and they completely annihilated and destroyed the countries that we relied on that were the strongest countries. And then the Torah goes on to tell us who was the king of the Moabites at the time. His name was Balak. So remember that name Balak, Balak ben Sipor. He's Balak, the son of a man called Sipor, Melech Lamoya Be'esa. He happened to be the king at that time. What Rashi says, what does it mean that he happened to be the king of Moab at the time? That he really did not deserve in prestige. This guy who was the one running the show and trying to get the Jews destroyed wasn't really a king. He wasn't of royal blood. He didn't really deserve to be there. He was actually a prince of Midian. So even though I guess these two countries were fighting, they still used royalty from one another. So a Moabite prince, which is actually where they're going to get advice from, became a king of Moab after Sichon died, and he became the prince, was a fill-in position for king, wasn't the official transitional period of king, who's the one who's trying to figure out the solution to the Jewish problem. Verse 5, Vayishlach malachim. So they sent messengers to Bilam ben Ba'ar. Who are they sending a message to? There's a guy who lives in Midian, whose name, another character, whose name is Bilam. So far we have Balak, who's the king of the Moabites, who's in the transitional place of king. Meanwhile, because they don't have a king, their king died in Moab, and they're sending a message to another person called Bilam, who's the son of Ba'ar, who is in Pisora, who's in an area called Pisora. That's Asher al-Hanar, that's on the river. And I showed you in the map that Midian is along the Red Sea, is along the river over there. So they're sending it to the guy whose name is Bilam. Now, first of all, Rashi says that this word Pisora is that it actually has a meaning of a table, a shulchani, is a money changer table, which means that, when you go to change money, when people would travel from country to country, just like I guess today, you're going to Canada. I went to Canada not long ago, and I had to get Canadian money in order to buy stuff. So you go to the bank or whatever, you go to the money changers. So it's called a shulchani in Hebrew. And a lot of people got to stop by, I guess, the money changer guy, because you want to move from country to country, you need to change your money, whatever, so on. I guess a bank is a very used thing that we use today. So Bilam was like a bank, like a money changer, meaning that people from all over the world came to get his advice. So he was obviously a very talented, powerful person that everyone around the world would come to this guy, just like you come to a money changer. Everyone from around the world would bring their wares to him, and they would bring their letters and their papers, and they would ask him to bless it or curse it, whatever. We'll see in a moment, to this guy Bilam. So Balak, the king of the Moabites, has a problem that the Jews are taking over, and they don't know what to do. So they send a message to this guy Bilam. Now, and they're sending him this message to Pesach. Okay. Asher al-No, and we said it's on the river. It's on the river in the country of Midian. Eretz b'nei Amo, to the land where he came from, because Balak, the king, was a prince who originated, his actual family was from Midian, so he's going back home to his original country of Midian to get advice from. He knows this guy is Balak, and actually he knew that Balak prophesied and predicted that Balak, who was a prince in Midian, will end up being a king in the other country of Moab. So he trusted this guy. He knew this guy had powers, because unpredictably, who would know that he would be king of another country, the country of Moab? And this guy said it. This guy said, you will be king of the other country to the north of Moab. What are the chances? And he ends up becoming king. So he knows already that this guy is you could trust his talents, that he's the real deal. And he says to him, he says to him, a nation, why am I needing to speak to you? Because we have a big problem, because a nation came out of Mitzrayim. I want to just also mention, and he also, Rashi tells us, I'm not just calling because I need your help. I'm going to pay you for it. He offered him a tremendous amount of money. He's going to give him a lot of money for his work. So he's calling to him, telling him, listen, I'm not just asking your help. I'm going to really pay you handsomely for the help we need. Leimar hine'am yotzam mitzrayim. He says this nation came out of Egypt. We have this really big problem. And hinechisas ein haaretz, and they're covering the eye of the land. And as Rashi says, the commentaries say, like an eye looks and protects the whole body. They destroyed our eye of our country which was Sichon and Og, that they were protectors. They looked out for everybody around them, and we have no eye left. We have nobody watching over us. Kisas ein aretz, they covered the eye of our land. And he parked. He's stationed right next to me. I have this guy that's living right next to me. And they used to protect us. We paid them to watch over us, and they destroyed the people that we paid in order to watch over us. Yeah. Now, there's an interesting Rashi here. Rashi discusses why would God make a guy like this have such power? And he has a very interesting answer Rashi brings down. He says, so his question is, why would God allow a Gentile, evil, wicked person to become a prophet? And he's a very interesting answer. He says, so that the nations of the world shouldn't have a complaint saying to God, it's not right. The Jews, you gave all these prophets, and the prophets led the Jews in such a beautiful way because they had prophets that guided them. But to the non-Jews, to the Gentiles, you never gave us a prophet who could educate us and teach us and lead us. And if you would have given us the prophets, we would have also been like the Jews. It's not right. So Hashem says, no problem. I'm going to give you people with the same power, make one of your people have the same power as the Jews. And he gave them a prophet. And not just did he not help them, he made it worse for them. So they used their own intuition, and they had a prophet on the level of Moses. And he actually gave them advice that made them more corrupt. Where are we going to see that this prophet made the Gentiles' advice to make them more corrupt, not be better? Because by the end of the story, they're not going to succeed. He's not going to succeed in cursing the Jews. He's going to try. He's not going to succeed. He's going to bless them instead of cursing them. But at the end, he gives them advice, and he tells them, I'll tell you what to do. You want to make the Jews in trouble? I can't curse them, but I'll tell you what to do. You want to make the Jews lose? A very simple way. Get them to sin. If you get the Jews to sin, then God won't be protecting them anymore, and you're going to easily be able to beat them. So cursing them won't work because God's not letting me curse them. We'll get them to sin. And what does he do? He tells them to get their daughters to become prostitutes to entice the men in order to sin. And they succeed. They partially succeed. And a plague breaks out among the Jewish people. We're going to learn about them in the following parsha. So this prophet, anti-Semite, not just did he not guide his people to become more holy and do things correct, he actually ends up suggesting to them to turn their daughters into prostitutes. And therefore, Hashem's going to say, I did give you prophets, and look what ended up happening with them. Instead of them helping you, they ended up going and creating more corruption and more crime. Okay, so let's continue to next verse 6. V'yata now, so this is the message to the non-Jewish prophet Bilam. V'yata now, l'cha na arali, please curse these people for me. Please curse them. The king Bilam is sending messengers Balak is sending messengers to Bilam. I don't know what to do. Curse them. Ki atzum hu mimeni, because they're more powerful than me. I can't beat them. Ulai uchal nakaboy. Maybe I'll have success in actually waging war against them, or maybe at least I can knock out some Jews. Maybe I can't kill them, but we'll get even one Jew didn't die. Maybe we'll have some success in a war against them to at least diminish their numbers. And I will expel them, chase them out from the land. Because I know very well, whoever you bless will be blessed. Whoever you cursed, you will be cursed. How do I know that? Because Moab alone suffered a loss. Moab suffered a loss when the nation on top of him, the Amorim, attacked him, and the Amorites attacked him, and they took Cheshbon from him, which he used to own. How did they capture? He had the most powerful city and country at the time, because Bilam cursed his country, and he lost part of his country because of Bilam. So he knows how successful he is. So now he's turning to Bilam, even though you originally cursed my country and I lost property to the Amorites. Now the Amorites are gone. Do me a favor, curse the Jews, and I'm going to go and take back the country from them. That's the message that he sends. Verse 7. So the Torah tells us what happens. What happens when they approach Bilam. Verse 7. So the elders of Moab, I guess, Moabites travel south. They meet up with the elders of the Midianites and they come together to Bilam, but they have props with them. Uksamim biyadam, they have magic charms with them in their hands when they come to talk to Bilam. So Rashi addresses this. Why do they have a magic charm? Why are you telling me that they have magic? What is this magic charms that they have in their hands when they go to approach Bilam? So there's two interesting interpretations in Rashi. One, Rashi says they don't want Bilam to have any excuse. I don't have my material. I don't have my wares. They come prepared with them to Bilam to curse, and they bring with them whatever kind of, I don't know, whatever kind of magic charms that Bilam might need. They have it in their suitcases. They have it with them. Whatever they have, they're prepared. They have it. Bilam, no time to waste. Here we have the magic charms with us. Do whatever you need to do. We have the material, the props with us. That's one answer. Another answer is not that they came. Another interpretation is not that they came with magic charms, but they had in their head a decision to see. I mean, not like a magic charm, but a way to decide to see if will Bilam succeed in cursing them or not. And this is, they made themselves like a kind of a sign. This is how we're going to know whether he will be successful or not. We're gonna figure out right away. This is what we're going to decide. If Bilam says, bring it on right now, let's curse them, it's going to work. If Bilam starts making excuses, wait a little bit, I don't know, it's not going to happen. So they kind of had already their own magic charm to know whether this Bilam is legit or will work. They're going to test that and see if Bilam will start giving excuses and saying stuff. Then we'll know if he's going to be able to succeed or not. So that's what they said. And he's going to start making up stories, and they're right, and they leave. So the people, the Midianite elders are gone. The Moabite elders will hang out because their country, I guess, is more threatened. They're right next to the Jews. And even though Bilam starts making excuses, they're going to push him, try to get him to really curse the Jews. So Vaydabru Elo Elav Divrei Balak, the end of verse 7, Zion, they tell him the words of Balak. Verse 8. So what does Balak say? So Balak says to them, Linu Foy Halayla. Sleep over the night. See, he's already starting to, no, not a straight answer, yes, no. I don't know. Stay here tonight, sleep over. And I will give you a response after tonight. Whatever God will tell me at night in my dream, whatever I hear from God. And only the elders, the captains of Moab, the nobles of Moab stayed in Bilam with Bilam, but the Midianites were like, out of here, we know already. It's a lost cause. We're not going to be able to, it's not going to end up working. So they sleep over. Rashi addresses another very interesting Rashi here is why did Bilam need to say sleep over the night? Why couldn't he do it by day? So Rashi says when God did give the unholy prophets a dream, for example, we also have, where else do we have? If you remember the story we learned when Laban was going to attack his son-in-law Yaakov, right? Yaakov ran away 3 days ahead, and Yaakov wanted to kill, Lavan wanted to kill Yaakov, who ran off with his daughters. And God appeared to him at night and told him in a dream, don't you dare touch Yaakov. So Rashi says, whenever God appears to the Gentile evil prophets, it's always at night. He says, because it doesn't want it, it's not something God's proud of. It's not God something's excited about. He says it's like, God forbid, when a man goes to meet his concubine in those days, not the wife, but they had concubines, it wasn't something he did in public. He did it at night, quietly. In Yiddish, they say, stille Heit. So God would go to the non-Jewish prophets. He would go at night when he would appear to them. So he didn't have a choice. So Bilam tells the elders of Moab, you got to stay over the night. I'll give you an answer in the morning. I don't know, because Hashem only appears to me at night. And I'll tell you what Hashem says. Now, he doesn't say, when he says, I'm going to tell you what God says, he doesn't say, I don't know if God's going to let me curse them or not. He says, I don't know if God likes the messengers that came here. He blames it on the messengers. Maybe you're not prestigious enough. I'm a guy who God made a prophet. You think God will let me go with such low class, people coming to call me? I need the king or right below the king to come here and call me. I don't know if God's going to let me go. He said, because maybe you guys are not intending that you guys are not prestigious enough for me to go to you and curse the Jewish people. Verse 9. So God comes to Bilam at night. What happens in that dream? In that prophecy? And God says to Bilam, First thing, God opening statement to Bilam at night. Mi ha'anoshim ha'ela imach. Who are these people who came to you? Who are these people sleeping over with you tonight? Now, why would God ask that? And Rashi says it was to kind of start tricking Bilam. And Bilam says, wait a second, God doesn't know who it is. Maybe there's some way that we could hide from God. God doesn't know exactly what's going on. We could pull the hood over God. Maybe I could pull this out. In other words, letting Bilam to believe that somehow he could force God to curse the Jews or allow him to curse them without God really wanting it to happen. Somehow you could persuade or push God or trick God. Maybe there's some way I could do it. So God opens the conversation to allow Bilam to make this mistake. Verse 10. So Bilam says to God, well, who are these people? Balak ben Tzipor, the king Balak, the son of Tzipor, Melech Moav, the great and mighty, prestigious king of the Moabites. Balak ben Tzipor, Shalach Elai, sent these people to me, saying to God, look, these people consider me important. You, God, don't. You come to me at night. You try to hide when you come to me. But look, the king, look who I am. I'm getting messages from the great king, Balak, the son of Tzipor, of the great country of Moab. And this is what he said, and he repeats the message. And by the way, he changes one word in the message. And Rashi learned something interesting from this. Here's the message. He says, the nation, this is the message that he told me. This nation came out of Egypt. And they covered the eye of the land. Ata now, go and curse them for me. Now, the word he used to curse is a different word that the king sent. The king just said, go curse them. He's saying kavali. Kavali is a worse kind of a curse, actually. That's what change of word is. Kavali means use God's holy name to curse them. So Bilam is repeating to God a message that they want to destroy the Jews using a worse wording than the message he got in order to curse the Jews. What does that tell us about him? What is that? And there's another word here. There's another word in the sentence. He says, why do I want you to curse the Jews? So that I could wage war on them, and I will kick them out, drive them out. But again, a different word than the original, what the king Balak just said, I just want them away from my country. That's what I want. The term he's using here is I want them wiped out, not just from this world, but even from the world to come. Meaning I want the Jews not just to be living here near me geographically, I want them not even to get a portion of the world to come. What does that tell us, Rashi says? That tell us that Bilam hated the Jews more than Balak. So Balak just didn't want the Jews maybe on the north to him. But Bilam, his message to God, when you decode the difference of the wording of Bilam talking to God, is that Bilam was more of an anti-Semite. Not just that he was being paid to curse the Jews, but he himself was more of an anti-Semite than even Balak was. Verse 12. So God tells Bilam, so God says to Bilam, nothing doing. Don't go with them. And not just don't go with them, don't curse them. As Rashi says, don't curse, that God told Bilam, do not go with them. So Bilam says to God, fine, I won't go with them, but do I have permission to curse them here? So God says, no, you have no permission to curse them, not with them there and not here. And then Bilam says, well, then should I bless them? And God says, Ki Baruch Hu, I don't need your blessing. Don't do me no favors. Don't curse them there. Don't curse them here. And now you're asking to give them a blessing. Don't bless them either. And Rashi says an example. They tell a wasp or a bee, I don't want your sting and I don't want your honey. Some people you're saying, don't do me no favors. The guy says, okay, I want to hurt you, so I want to bless you. He says, no. Don't bless them. They're already blessed. We don't need your help. We don't need your favors. Don't touch them. Don't get involved with them. And that is just part of the story. With Hashem's help, we will continue tomorrow learning what happens next in this very interesting story. Any questions or comments?